This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and welcome back to another Elden Ring video. Today we are going to talk about your actual top 6 best dexterity weapons. Let's get to it. So I see a lot of people asking what are the best options for dexterity, and I've seen a few videos talking about the best dexterity weapons out there, and they're all a little wishy-washy, and a lot of people have different opinions on what the best weapons for dexterity builds are, which ones are going to deal the most damage. So I spent days and millions of runes upgrading weapons and going through them all, doing spreadsheets and everything else to find your top 6 best scaling, best options for dexterity builds. So what makes a dexterity weapon? I set some criteria here for this because there are colossal weapons that will have insane attack power even if you are spec'd full dexterity and you change them to the keen affinity, they hit like absolute trucks because they're colossal weapons and they have really high base attack power to begin with. But the downside to those is they all require a pretty heavy investment into strength. So I set a strength requirement for these weapons of below 20 because I feel like keeping your strength below 20 is relatively easy to get to, no matter which one of the dexterity or dexterity hybrid classes that you start off with. Getting 19 strength is relatively easy to do and takes little investment. And then the next thing I just looked at was their attack power. I went through obviously the ones with better scaling, and we're going to talk about scaling here in a second, but I also paid attention mainly to attack power. I wanted the highest attack power I could find. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, there's tons of S scaling or a bunch of S scaling weapons, and they're probably going to be better than some of these that I'm going to show you. But I want to talk about real quick how misleading the scaling system is in this. You can see right here that this is an S scaling with dexterity and that I have 99 dexterity. But if we come over here and we equip this into our left-hand armament slot, you can see its attack power right here. Now, this is an attack power of 612, and this is an attack power of 691. This has an A scaling, this has an S scaling. That's not all. Some of you are like, yeah, that's an A scaling, it's still really good. I can show you B scaling that has even higher. In our left-hand armament 2 slot, I have the Knight's Greatsword. That is a dexterity scaling of B rating, and you can see over there that our left-hand armament slot, which is this slot, has a attack power rating of 678. Now, just to show you here, we're gonna go out here and we're gonna hit this troll with this whip, 723 damage. Now, I'm going to use this greatsword and we're gonna hit him, and we're gonna see the difference in damage. 731. So we do more damage with this, obviously, because we have higher attack power. It's not a ton more, but it is more. That was just in case there's anybody that decides to jump down in the comments and try to tell me that attack power isn't directly correlated to the amount of damage that you're putting out. So anyway, scaling, it's misleading. And I know there's a lot of people out there who like to power stance. We'll talk about all your power stancing options for each of these after we get through all of them. For our number 6 slot, we have the Omen cleaver. When you spec this thing with the keen affinity, it gets a B rating or B scaling rating in dexterity. And you can see it just ekes right below our 20 strength requirement, coming in at 19 strength and 16 dexterity. It has an attack power of 689. So we are just going to take this over here and slap our little test subject with it and see what kind of damage we get. 810. In our number 5 slot, we have the Flame Birch coming in at 691 attack power. Now this thing has a few interesting things going for it. 1, it's a great sword, so it's going to hit really hard. And 2, it causes blood loss buildup, which is absolutely fantastic. It has an A scaling in dexterity, takes 15 strength to equip it, and 14 dexterity. Once again, we are going to whack our little test subject here and see the damage, 812. Pretty consistent 812 actually. Our number 4 slot is the Butchering Knife. This thing comes in with a hefty 696 attack power. It's an A scaling for dexterity, takes 16 strength to equip it, and 20 dexterity. And taking a look at the damage, this thing can pull 819. Now, I would also like to point out that this one has the interesting ability of regaining HP every time you hit something with it. It's a relatively small amount, but you do regain HP when you hit something, which is a cool feature. Our number 3 slot is going to be no surprise to anyone, and that is the Bloodhound's Fang. This one is on a ton of lists already, and for good reason. It has hefty attack power at 705, causes blood loss buildup, has a absolutely fantastic Ash of War, has a B scaling and dexterity, takes 18 strength to equip it, and 17 dex. Now, unlike everything else I'm showing you on this list, you cannot change the Ash of War on this one. All of the other ones that you are going to see in this video, you can change the Ash of War on them. And if we strike this little guy here, we pull off 831 damage. Our number 2 slot is going to be a surprise for many of you, and most of you have probably not heard of this sword. It is the Zweihander. I don't know how you pronounce that. For those of you who are on a small screen and cannot see this text, it is spelled ZWEIHANDER. This is a colossal sword. Now, the really interesting thing about this colossal sword is, unlike all of its other colossal counterparts, it only takes 19 strength to equip it and 11 dex. It's super easy to equip. It has a B scaling in dex and 730 attack power. Yeah, it hits like a truck. All right, now let's take a look at the damage. So we got our test subject here and 864. And last but not least, we have the best dex scaling weapon there is in the game, and that is the Guardian's Sword Spear. It has an A scaling and only scales with dexterity when you use the keen affinity on it with your Ash of War. This is the only weapon that I've been able to find that scales with dex only when you use the keen affinity. It takes 17 strength and 16 dexterity to equip it. It has 790 attack power. And as you would expect, this being number 1 on the list, it is going to give us the highest amount of damage. So if we come up here to our test subject and we hit him, 939, go for this one. Well, we hit him and not the rock, 939. Pretty consistent 939. If we do a heavy attack here, 1,503. The great thing about these Guardian Sword Spears is that you can farm them. So you can get 2 identical sword spears, level them up, and have them both have that 790 attack power. Which means when you go in for an attack, you are going to do a ton of damage. We slap down, 2,160 on a jump attack. Normal attack, 1,557. So for our second in slot for power stancing it, I don't know, pretty much any of the other colossal weapons you want to choose from. If you use the keen Ash of War affinity, they will scale well and do equivalent damage, but you are going to have to put many more points into strength to be able to power stance these. For this one, if you want to run with this one, I highly recommend just dual fisting it. Just run around with it, just one, don't power stance it, and just go to town. As you can see, it hits really hard on its own, and you don't really need to power fist or to power stance it, and you're gonna do respectable damage. Worth checking out for sure, as it is your only colossal weapon option without a heavy strength investment. So the number 3 slot and the number 6 slot can be put together for power stancing, and you will have solid damage with both of those. Luckily enough, they both made the list, have really high attack power. You can see there, 705, 689. Let's see if we can do a jump attack here. Yeah, 1905. That's not bad for a jump attack. And let's just do a normal attack here. 1345. Now for the butchering knife, I highly recommend also just double fisting that one. However, if you would like an option to pair with it, you can use the crescent moon. Scales really well, but you're gonna have to get up there to 25 in your strength in order to pull this off. So what I'm going to do is just use a few talismans here to boost my strength up. And now we can equip both of these, and you can see that this one has actually really high attack power at 729. It just did not make the list because of this 25 strength requirement. And if we attack, 1955, that's not bad. 1390, not bad at all. Of course, it's not gonna be bad. These are great weapons and you're gonna hit really, really hard with them. And since we already paired the Omen cleaver with the Bloodhound's fang, that means our last one to cover on power stancing is the flame birch. You have two solid options for that, and that is the Knight's Greatsword, which almost made the list, coming in at 678 attack power, and the Banished Knight's Greatsword coming in at 676 attack power. Either one of those is going to be a solid option, and that little of a difference in attack power, you're not going to see too much of a difference there in the damage output you are able to do. There we go, 1870. Normal attack, 1366. And now we enter the segment I like to call quelling the comment section. So I know there are going to be a lot of you who are going to comment, what about Hand of Millennia and all of the other different katanas that are out there? Everybody says they're the best dex weapons. First off, Hand of Millennia needs a serious damage buff. Let's take a look at it real quick. So if we take a look, here's our attack powers. Hand of Millennia is right here, armament 1. Then we have the ⴈᴏᴜⴇ whatever it's called, the long Sephiroth katana, that's here. And it is the exact same as the Uchi katana, which is right here. Pay no mind to this dagger, that was for something else I was doing. Then we have the Omen cleaver, which is the lowest on our top 6 list, coming in at 689. The ridiculous part of this is that this is a special boss weapon. You actually have to go out of your way to fight her. She's not a necessary boss to fight. You can completely skip that fight altogether. So you have to go out of your way to fight her to get this thing. It also has a requirement of 48 freaking dexterity, and it is not the top of our list. It should be at the top of our list, and it is not. And that is because its damage suffers incredibly from this low attack power over here. Now I just want to show you here. So just a quick refresher. We're just gonna, well actually let's double fist both of them so you can see. So we're gonna double fist both of them here. So we'll double fist this, we'll hit this guy. 847 damage. Okay, let's grab Hand of Millennia here. All right, hit this guy, 729. There's a big difference in damage. I know you're not like, that's not the biggest difference. It's not like, 700 damage difference or anything like that, but it is a pretty substantial difference in damage. Now, I know a bunch of you are gonna be like, but the Ash of War waterfowl dance is so good on this thing. And it is. You hit a lot, you hit quick, all of that, but it still suffers from the fact that this thing has really low attack power for what it should be. It should be at the top of our list. So let's just take a look here. This is it. For those of you who don't know, it's her signature move, 1,600 and some change there, but these guys die too quick before I can pull off the full thing. So let's take a look at what this looks like when you do it on a target that can take the full brunt of this Ash of War. So as you can see from this side-by-side comparison, Waterfowl Dance pulls off a total of 5,305 damage. However, in this side-by-side comparison, you can see that I can actually kill this guy a little bit faster with seppuku on the Omen cleaver. And that's because the Omen cleaver just does more damage. Is it an insane difference? No, but is it enough difference to stop him from getting in another attack possibly? Well, yeah. Also note that both of these weapons managed to knock him on his butt, and they both constantly staggered him. So they both do have that going for them, although the Omen cleaver knocked him prone faster than Hand of Millennia knocked him backwards. Also, Hand of Millennia knocked him backwards, meaning that I had to use up time to close that gap, in which case I just used that time to cast the dance again, as where the Omen cleaver just caused him to go prone, allowing me to continue to wail on him without having to worry about closing that gap. Okay, so now let's take a look at the Sephiroth blade here and see what kind of damage it can do. Let's quickly, just for those of you who do not remember, already forgotten, 846 on the Omen cleaver. Okay, Sephiroth blades, what we're calling it. Let's attack this guy, 722. All right, and 𝐴𝐦𝐻𝐾atana, same thing. Let's swap over to 𝐴𝐦𝐻𝐾atana, and we're gonna attack this guy here, 722. It's the exact same because it and the other one have the exact same attack power. And before you jump down there in the comments section and raise a fit saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, calling these weapons bad, blah, 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 I'm not calling them bad. They're good weapons. They're just underpowered weapons. Underpowered doesn't necessarily mean that they are bad. And I'm calling out to the developers to buff this weapon. This weapon should have an absolute massive buff. It's a pain to get. Most people can't even fight that boss and die like crazy and have to call in other people to help them. With a requirement of 48 dexterity, this should have better than a B scaling, and it should have more attack power at 99 freaking dexterity than 610. That's kind of ridiculous. And if you're not double fisting it, it's only 607. And because I know there's also going to be some people who comment, but you'll never have 99 dexterity, here's what this looks like with 60 dexterity. So this is Omen Cleaver. This is Hand of Malenia, this is the Sephiroth blade, and this is 𝐴𝐦𝐻𝐾atana. And here I got a little crazy with it and put 70 in dexterity and 30 into strength, and Omen Cleaver is still owning at the top. And if we just go ahead and take that up to 80, which most of you are not going to do, you can see that Omen Cleaver is still crushing it. If we bring that strength down, still crushing it. It's always going to crush it because it crushes it at the max level, and it's going to crush it no matter what. So there you go. Now you have some solid options for your dex builds, and you know which ones are going to give you the highest attack power. I highly recommend power stancing these sword spears. Not only does it have an interesting attack because it doesn't do like your normal pokey that other spears do when you do your light attacks there, but when you do your double attack, you got that little pokey deal there, and it has a ton of reach, allowing you to keep people at a distance from you. These are absolutely amazing options to go for. You're just whirling blades of destruction because you spin them around you, and when you are spinning them like that, you are dealing damage to everything around you, and you're poking things far away at range, and they're just fantastic. But I know not everybody may enjoy that moveset. That's why I did 6 options, giving you, I guess, 5 different movesets to choose from. And that's pretty much it. We're gonna wrap it up there. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informational. If you did, consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. I wanna give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to my supporters on Patreon for making this episode possible. Y'all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to join my elite crew of Patreon supporters, please check out the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy and you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.